Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love. My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Fenixx, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, June 13th of 2023. Let's hop right into it. Let's hope. I'm just hoping that you guys had a wonderful Monday, wonderful start to the week, and let's kick it off with this Tuesday horoscope, shall we? So, well, this is definitely going to be a week of building and budding energy. We don't necessarily have like a lot of intense things happening today. Now, I'm really a lot of the week too. We really are building up to that new moon that's going to be happening in Gemini. We're also going to be building up to Saturn, which is going to station retrograde this weekend as well. So this is definitely a week, like I said, where we're kind of just building up to that. So if you feel that there's not really much happening right now, or if you feel a kind of like filler episode kind of energy, and what I mean by that, I'm a nerd too, right? So filler episode is essentially an episode uh within like a show where there's not really a whole lot going on. It's just like minor kind of background details that contribute to the story. Maybe they provide some sort of background information on different characters and stuff like that, but it's not like major like plot like kind of driving things, right? So that's kind of how this week is going to be leading up to, like I said, the new moon that's going to be happening in Gemini and Saturn, which is slowing down, right? It's going to be coming retrograde on Sunday. So now, as of today, we're going to have, of course, that moon in Aries going to be finishing up. As you can see, it will actually make the square over to Pluto, which has recently ingressed back into Capricorn, right? So this is going to be interesting energy. Except with the moon, especially since it's at the edge of Aries, this definitely could be sort of like a pop off energy because the moon wants to get back to Taurus. That's where it's exalted, right? Now, we also, of course, have the sun here in Gemini, 22 degrees in that third decan. So, this is definitely where, especially with it being in the decan of Uranus, mind you, too, just I would say be wary of like online arguments. I could definitely see potentially online arguments popping off just because that moon is going to be squaring Pluto, which is back into Capricorn. Of course, Capricorn being in that third decan, or excuse me, Pluto being in that third decan of Capricorn, which is ruled by Mercury, mind you. And Mercury is over here in its home sign of Gemini in the decan that it actually rules as well. So, definitely a lot of interesting communication, a lot of different conversations can definitely happen on this day with that Sun of Gemini wanting us to, still in many ways explore, wanting to have those conversations, wanting to kind of, you know, expand upon our curiosities and look a little bit deeper, especially with the Uranus here ruling that decan, is definitely looking for some sort of innovation when it comes to that, right? We're building up to that new moon, which is going to be a very innovative new moon. But that moon is still going to be in Aries. And as you can see, I'm going to move this forward, a couple of hours, right? So we can get to that nice little square. So, boom, you're going to have that moon squaring over to Pluto at 29 degrees. So that brings with it a lot of edge, of course, right? Right before it enters into Taurus. So this could definitely be a potential just pop of energy just because that moon in Aries is definitely going to be, it's a very, it can definitely be very rash as far as like some of the decisions that we make. Our emotions can be a little bit inflamed at this moment, especially considering the fact that Pluto being a Capricorn in many ways is the mountain, and the moon in Aries is like this fiery energy. This kind of reminds me of like a volcano that's been lying dormant for a while. Well, not even necessarily that. This is like an overactive volcano. Lying dormant would have been like at the beginning of Capricorn, in the beginning of Aries. Being that it's at the end of it, this is like a volcano that has been fairly active, right? So that's the kind of energy that this is bringing with it. Not only that, but because there's a lot of Uranian influence with the energy today, and Uranus does rule aliens and stuff like that, extraterrestrial stuff. And if you know anything about volcanoes and you see all the lightning storms that happen around there, it's rumored that, of course, there's alien stuff that goes on near volcanoes. So definitely kind of an interesting energy with that square, right? That moon is going to be coming into Taurus, as the day progresses. By 3:30 p.m., that moon will have already ingressed into Taurus, right? Which is going to bring with it a nice grounding energy. So I think, especially with that moon in Aries, with it being at that last little bit, making that squaring energy, we can use that energy to definitely create and build something and to really ground it. So, especially with all this Leo energy as well, we have Mars, which is moving fast. Mars is moving forward. We got Venus, which is slowing down. But at least, at the very least, Venus, while it is slowing down, it is coming off of the opposition of Pluto, of course. It's coming off of the square to the nodes. It's not as intense this week. And, it is still squaring Jupiter. It's going to be kind of traveling with Jupiter for the next several months, to be fair, as far as like they're going to be squaring each other multiple times. So we still have that energy. That being said, since it is the two benefics, it's going to be a little bit of an easier energy to deal with. Although sometimes when it comes to the benefic energies, sometimes too much of a good thing is not necessarily the best thing. So we have to definitely be careful about what it is that, when it comes to this energy, what it is that we are receiving. What sort of like love are we receiving? Venus is all about kind of receiving as well. It's about seeking balance in relationships too. So because, and of course, these energies are going back to the sun, right? It being that it's in that first decade. So, the sun is dispositing all of this energy. It's dispositing Venus, it's dispositing Mars, it's dispositing Lilith, which has now come into Leo as well. That's something else I didn't really mention yesterday too, was that the fact that Lilith is coming into this energy, it's coming into that opposition with Pluto, and it's on that 0 degree Leo mark, which is in many ways activating, or definitely at least giving a preview and a highlight into the Lion's Gate, that portal that we're going to have once the sun reaches 0 degrees of Leo. I will be making a special video on that. I meant to make it today, but it didn't quite happen that way. But like I said, we still have some time before that happens. We got about a month and some change before that happens. But Black Moon Lilith is going to be on that spot too, which is sort of, like I said, going to be giving us a bit of a highlight into that sort of energy. You got to remember, this is also where Venus opposed Pluto, is at that 0 degree mark. So 0 is very important. It's something that was going to be really activated. That moon in Taurus will be squaring over to Lilith as well. So Lilith can be these sort of fears when it comes to expressing ourselves, our creativity, our passions, the childlike energy. I remember Leo also rules children. So there could be some fears that may come up today, especially with that moon having squared Pluto and then moving into Taurus and then immediately squaring over to Black Moon Lilith. So in many ways, we got a bit of a T square here, to be fair, with between the moon, Pluto, and Black Moon. Not necessarily the easiest energy to deal with, but with that moon going into Taurus, it's going to be asking us to emotionally ground ourselves in things that matter. But we're only going to know that, we're only going to know what to ground ourselves into if we recognize our value there as well. The square to Pluto, especially with the moon in Aries, there definitely could be this element where we might almost are forcing the issue, right? You know, whereas like Pluto is like, all right, are you sure this is the identity that you want to have? Are you sure this is the identity that you want to have? In many ways, it's with Pluto going back into Capricorn too, and it's squaring the moon before this. And we got to also remember that the moon is going to conjunct the North Node in Taurus for the second to last time until 2040. So this is a day where we are getting some rare energy as far as like things that we're not going to see again for a while, right? So there's definitely going to be a question today where it's like, who are you? Who are you at, the purest aspects of yourself? Who are you when it comes to what is it you're wanting to build, the kind of legacy that you want to live? These are questions that are going to be coming up, questions of legacy, questions of purpose, question of who exactly we are, and with it being at these last degrees, that square, it's going to be rather intensified. Wouldn't be surprised today if you see people defending themselves online, people maybe getting attacked for certain things. These things, I really would not be surprised if you see that. Now, especially if you are more in the limelight and have more attention and stuff like that. If you're not per se like that, there could just be moments of the day where, you know, I could definitely see, especially with Pluto here being at these last degrees, especially with it being in the decan of Mercury, and Mercury, which is moving faster now. It's in Gemini, it's at home. We're definitely going to be looking for some answers. We're definitely going to be looking in many ways. Going to be looking for results too. Capricorn is a very results oriented sign too. That's the thing about it. But with the being in Mercury, it's about communicating those results. So, how are we going to be communicating who we really are? Do we know who we really are? And can we actually stand on our value? Can we actually be emotionally secure in knowing who we are, and then be emotionally secure in knowing that we can build the life that we want, even if it doesn't happen overnight? That's the thing about it. So, like I said, I would say that this is a positive day overall. I would say that of course that there's going to be some challenges, especially starting off with that square that the moon is going to make over to Pluto before it ingresses into Taurus, which is going to give us a bit of a grounding energy and a bit of a sigh of relief in many ways. By the time that the day comes to a close, that moon is going to conjunct the north node and oppose the south node in Scorpio. This is going to be around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to have that happen. Essentially, the moon would have, like I said, squared over to Lilith and everything, and it will soon come into the square with Venus, which is actually going to be a pretty interesting energy. That's going to pretty much kick off Wednesday. But I would say Tuesday, there's going to be kind of like this interesting spurt in the beginning of the day, and then it's going to kind of calm down. But like I said, some of the things that I can see potentially happening: people defending themselves online, people that have built up a certain persona, built up a certain thing, that being challenged by society, that being challenged by establishment stuff, even though Pluto is retrograde, challenged by establishment type stuff. And especially with Saturn, the fact that Saturn is slowing down and it will retrograde very soon, and Venus is also slowing down, is that we can kind of feel that energy is kind of chilling off. It's about to kind of go into like this sort of vacation mode. We're about to go into a review like period, right? So if there are things that you're wanting to get done, if there are things that like projects that you're wanting to get off the ground and want to initiate, these are kind of like your last few moments. I really would say that. Not that you can always start something whenever you want. I'm just saying, as far as like what these energies are supporting, what the planets are supporting, since we do have a lot of these planets that are about to come retrograde. Like I said, Saturn's about to come retrograde in Pisces, which is going to be a review period as far as like spirituality in general. Venus is coming retrograde in Leo, so that's going to be a whole review period as far as relationships, how we relate to each other, how we, you know, embrace our passions and embrace our inner child in many ways. So that's coming to an interesting energy. So this is definitely going to be a time where like we wanted to kind of push things through. If you're looking for some type of inspiration or motivation today, if you're looking for some sort of spark to kind of get you going, it's really going to be that moon squaring over to Pluto. Not really going to be the easiest energy too, but that's really what you got. By that time, Moon is going to come into Taurus, which is going to be a nice energy. It's going to help ground everything, building up to that new moon in Gemini. So it is going to be, like I said, it's a waning energy too. I think really what's coming down to is that who we are and who we kind of built ourselves up to be, there's an aspect of that is waning. There's an aspect of that is being renewed. And we have to recognize that and understand that everything is changing, everything is moving forward, and that even though, like I said, we do have energies that are slowing down, life still moves on. Just because certain aspects of our consciousness go into the review period doesn't mean that we don't stop living life. Doesn't mean that we don't stop moving forward. We can definitely get caught up waiting for the perfect moment to act, waiting for the perfect moment to do something. But you know, you just gotta go for it. I would say the perfect moment to do anything is the moment that you think about it, right? So it's like you just have to go for it. Even if the energy doesn't feel all the way there, even if you may not necessarily have the juice right now. You may not necessarily have, your tank might not necessarily be at full right now, but you can still get to your destination. I think we have to recognize that, like, so long as we have enough gas to take to get to our destination and back home, I think that's really what's important, or at least get to the gas station. But we can get it caught up in our head. It's like, oh no, my tank is not even at full. I might as well not even go to that thing. I might as well not even go explore that thing. Don't don't X things, don't cross things out of your life just because you don't have a full tank of gas. Right? Don't exit out of your life. The way that you kind of refuel yourself today, I mean, the moon coming into Taurus is definitely a refueling kind of energy, anyways. But the way that you refuel yourself, beloved, is by recognizing that, who you are right now is definitely drastically different from who you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And who you will be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years is drastically different from who you are right now. That person, you know, I think this is definitely going to be a day where we definitely have a bit of a reflection moment of, like, kind of like who we are and what we have become. And as the moon shifts into Taurus, there's going to be an aspect of, all right, how much of this do I want to ground? How much of this do I want to bring into this sort of new manifestation and plant that seed? Because whenever the moon goes into Taurus, it is about mostly planting seeds, and then we see it kind of grow. You know, Aries is like just taking the action, of actually planting it. You know, moon going into Taurus is actually us planting it, and then we begin to, like, kind of like nurture it and all that sort of stuff too. Especially, the moon's going to also conjunct Jupiter, although that's more of like a Wednesday aspect. Definitely a day where it may seem like loud and quiet at the same time. So that's the other thing too. So, like, if especially if you're like an Aries, if you are a fire sign other than, I would say, like Leo, you know what I mean? You're going to be mainly leaning on this Leo energy, all this stuff that's happening here, to kind of move yourself forward, because it's sort of like, it's not a boring day by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not necessarily a day where it's just going to be like, the inspiration is just going to be just like, you're not just going to, no one's going to necessarily come and inspire and motivate you to get up and do the thing. You just have to kind of do it yourself. I think this is going to be a day where we really need to listen to our inner coach in many ways, right? We have to listen to our inner coach. So, in many ways, I would even think that since, like I said, most of the focus has been on that moon squaring over to Pluto, another way to look at this is um kind of like a championship match in any type of sport. Whenever I think of Aries, I typically think of sports. So the moon squaring over to Pluto, this could be a sort of moment where it's like, final minutes of the game's on the line, right? You know what I'm saying? And you're like all and like you're about to, like, you can either win or lose. It's like coming down to, like, the wire, right? And you pulled out your whole bag of tricks, you know what I'm saying? And now you kind of have to just dig a little bit deeper, and just reach all the way back into your arsenal of tricks, reach back into that playbook, and figure out a way to get this thing done so you can win that championship and lift that trophy. Because once, like I said, the moon comes into Taurus, that's when we kind of can relax and kind of revel in the victory, right? The way that you have victory today is by recognizing that who you are today, like I said, is different from who you were yesterday, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And just recognizing and just seeing how far you've come, seeing that, especially what we've gone over the last 3 years, that you made it. You are here, you're watching this video, you are alive. You have opportunity. You have so much opportunity, so much more than you possibly could realize. You have the ability to really change the world in a very positive way. So the game's not over. We're coming down to the wire, and it's really going to be about, what are you going to do? What play are you going to run? Are you how deep does that bag of tricks actually go? You know, and will you host that trophy up? We shall see. It's really going to come all the way down to, do you know who you are, and do you know your value? So let's go ahead and grab the card for the day as well. So Said a lot of budding energy building up to this weekend where we will have that new moon in Gemini and Saturn coming retrograde. Planets are about to start retrograding, y'all. We are coming into retrograde city. So, retrograde city, here we come, here we come, here we come. And that's not to say that you can't start and initiate things when planets go retrograde. It's just harder to do so. Because so much energy is in the reverse. So much energy is more internal, more turned inward, more reflective. So it can be a little bit harder to, initiate things during those times. But that doesn't mean that can't happen. Some of you guys are born with a lot of retrograde planets, so you guys are used to it. So. All right, so let's see what the card that we have for the day is. The card that we have for the day is, oh wow, we have the Wheel of Fortune, and it was actually in reverse. I also have the Page of Swords in reverse too. So yeah, this is definitely mental cycles that are coming to an end today. I would say that Wheel of Fortune, being that it is reverse, it is definitely a cycle that is coming to an end. I would definitely say. And with that Page of Swords, we definitely are looking for some sort of clarity today. I'm gonna draw one more card just to kind of get a little bit more insight. Oh wow, okay, yeah. So we actually have the Six of Pentacles. We actually have the Six of Pentacles kind of providing a little bit more clarity. So there's definitely going to be this aspect where, since we are looking for a little bit more clarity and that there's certain cycles that are ending, we are really going to be, you see how this is it's like on a scale. So we're kind of weighing out our options in many ways on which way to really go. Now, the Six of Pentacles, it's kind of about giving, if you will, if you have the ability to give. But I'm really wanting to say that, the only way that we're going to be able to give our best self to this world is if we recognize that, we have to give to ourselves first, ultimately, right? In order to actually really properly give our best selves to this world, is that we have to recognize our own value and our own truth, right? Or the truth, if you will, So, because the truth is the truth no matter what. So, I kind of want to draw one more card actually because I'm interested in this. Oh wow, okay, yeah, we got the Ten of Swords. So there's definitely something coming to an end today. There's definitely something coming to an end today, the end of some sort of cycle. She has all of these swords in her back, and she's pretty much like she's in like the water, kind of on a battlefield. Their blood is kind of running through and stuff too. You see a few stars in the background as well. So there's definitely something that's coming to an end today. Kind of pretty interesting. I can see this as the whole thing where I was saying that people may get attacked like online and stuff like that. I could definitely see this happening actually, especially with these cards. And this is probably someone that may have been giving of themselves for so long to people. And like, I'm almost seeing it as someone who is deciding to kind of reflect and kind of go back, and maybe they kind of pull their energy back a little bit, and because they pull their energy back a little bit, people start throwing swords at them, saying that they betrayed them and backstabbed them. But you really want to be careful, beloved, with that kind of energy. You really want to be careful about who you give your energy to, because you have to. You don't necessarily you can't do the spiritual work for them. That's really what I'm saying. It's like there's this element I feel with today that people make it upset if you pull your energy back a tad bit, but like I said, you can't do the work for them. You can't do the spiritual work for them. There's definitely an end of cycles that's happening on this day. Let's see what the sacred geometry card's going to be. So all right, let's see what the oracle card is. We have the card of conception. The card of conception. The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness to our origin, the place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of the space and what we can manifest through our own focused awareness and attention. I love this card for today because even though there's coming to like sort of like this end of cycles in many ways, and we're trying to get some clarity with like that Page of Swords, but it is reversed. So we don't quite have the full picture here. That Ten of Swords energy, the Six of Pentacles, which seemed a little diametrically opposed, over giving of ourselves to people, and then this whole feeling like, this whole stabbed in the back kind of feeling, almost feeling like a sort of like betrayal, even by your own teammates potentially. With the conception card here, though, it's reminding us that who we are and what we build ourselves up to be, if that aspect begins to fall and crumble, that we can always come back to source. We can always come back to our origin and realize that we are much, much more than the persona that we created for ourselves. We are much, much more than that. We are an infinite spark of the divine, and we can have an innumerable number of experiences and expressions. So this is, like I said, so long as we remember that we are all, like I said, infinite sparks of the divine, and we can bring our awareness and intention back to that space. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter what anyone's opinion of you is. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what cycles in. It doesn't matter what crumbles away. So long as you have that, you can rebuild, you can come back up. So if you're feeling today sense that maybe you have to restructure in many ways who you are, or just realize that you are indeed changing and stuff like that, just know that that's just in divine order, and you can always bring things back to center. You can always bring things back to source, and you can create from that space. So I still think it's going to be overall a pretty positive day. Some interesting energies with these cards, like I said, with the squares and everything like that, that's going to be happening. And like I said, that moon will conjunct the North Node for the second to last time until 2040. Um, by the time the moon comes back around and conjuncts the North Node, Saturn will be retrograde, and I want to say Neptune will be retrograde as well. So this is sort of like one of our last moments to kind of get this energy and get this ball moving forward, because we're not going to really see this again. Next time that the moon comes around, it's things are going to be shifting. You're going to start to see it. Just things are going to slowly like shift, 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 shift. So, but yeah, go out there, do it today. Keep it moving forward. Stay focused. Smile often. Stay true to who you are, and know that certain things that we may have built up, whatever like that. Everything. This could be like a renovation kind of moment. Maybe we're doing renovations. You know what I mean? So sometimes we have to do renovations so we can bring new energy in. So that's the thing about it. So, anyways, that's going to do it for your forecast for today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate that. Make sure to hit the bell so you can receive all the notifications, so you can check out my daily horoscopes on this channel, as well as other content that I will be bringing your way. If you would like to book a reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below. I do astrology readings, tarot readings, and oracle card readings as well. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. But without further ado, y'all have a lovely day. Stay blessed, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.